Aloha, namaste, and welcome to the Ram Dass webcast series, broadcast to you live from the island of Maui. Brought to you by the Love, Serve, Remember Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. We have yet another special webcast with special guest Daniel Goleman. A couple quick announcements before we get started. If you happen to be on the island of Maui on Wednesday, June the 4th, please come join Ram Dass for a special benefit screening on the opening night of the Maui Film Festival, the movie Dying to Know, featuring Ram Dass and Timothy Leary and their story presented to you on the big screen. You can learn more about this movie at ramdass.org or www.mauifilmfestival.com or dyingtoknow.com. Fabulous movie. Special benefit screening, opening night of the Maui Film Festival. Many of you have been inquiring, registering, amending your trips to Maui in December for the 6th annual Open Your Heart in Paradise retreat. Just a very brief update. We still do have several off-site full retreat participation spaces available on ramdass.org. On the page of the retreat, you can learn about nearby properties that are just a short beach walk away from where the retreat activities take place. All the information is available for your review at ramdass.org. Ram Dass' special friend, special guest for today's webcast, Daniel Goleman. Daniel is an internationally known psychologist who lectures frequently to professional groups, business offices, and on college campuses across the country. As a science journalist, Daniel reported on the brain and behavioral sciences for the New York Times for many, many years. His 1995 breakthrough book, Emotional Intelligence, was on the New York Times bestseller list for a year and a half, with more than 5 million copies in print worldwide in 40 languages, and it has been a bestseller in many countries. Apart from his books on emotional intelligence, Goleman has written books on the topics including self-deception, creativity, transparency, meditation, social and emotional learning, eco-literacy, and the ecological crisis. His latest book, Focus, is an effective outline or a guideline for today's contemporary-minded leaders and those in leadership capacities. Would you please welcome Daniel Goleman with Ram Dass.
Well, that's actually my cover story. The real story, how I got here, is, I think, a little more interesting. I don't know if you remember, but I was a graduate student at Harvard in the same program you and Tim Leary had left 3 years before. And the halls were still ringing with that whole epic. And it was my first year in graduate school. I was doing it was a dark and dank December day, and I was writing about suicide, maybe thinking about it, I don't know. And this woman knocks on my apartment door, and she says she has a letter for me. She'd just come from Kathmandu. And she had been told her sister was going to get married, so she should come back to America. She shows up, and her sister backed out of the wedding. She says, I've just got 2 things to do. Deliver this letter from a friend of mine who was over there, and see this guy up in New Hampshire. And I need a ride. Can you give me a ride? So I consider the alternative, sure. And we get there, and it's a big fancy house, and up in a little room, there's a guy sitting with a long white beard and long white hair, wearing all white, and all of these weird Indian posters all over the wall. And the strangest thing was he didn't even look at us. He was sitting there with his eyes closed, and he kept sitting there with his eyes closed. It was the most bizarre thing I'd ever encountered. And after a while, he opens his eyes and started talking, and it was you. It turned out. And I mentioned, I told you that I was a graduate student in this department, and of course you asked about, David McClellan and all the people you knew, and that got me interested in going to the summer camp you ran at your father's place in New Hampshire, and that led with me and Krishna Das and Ramesh going to Kenchi. And we were, I think, the first Westerners to be able to get to Maharaj-ji. You just wouldn't tell people where he was. But somehow, through K.K. Shah's good graces.
Well, I promised Maharaj-ji I wouldn't tell anybody about him. And then the only thing was KK was translating for Maharaj-ji and had been very a brother of mine, and so I wouldn't tell anybody about where Maharaj-ji is and what his name was, but I gave him KK's number.
That's what it was. So
That was my deception.
Well, and it also took a little cunning on KK's part too, I think, because KK later told us that he went to Maharaj-ji. He'd gotten a letter from Krishnadas saying he wanted to come, and he goes to Maharaj-ji and says, "What should I tell them?" And Maharaj-ji says, "Tell them not to come." But as you mentioned the other day, KK was feeding Maharaj-ji, peeling an apple and feeding him an apple. And then when Maharaj-ji said, "Tell them not to come," he started sulking. He wouldn't give him any more apple. And so finally Maharaj-ji, I guess, said, "Well, tell them maybe they can come." And so we get to KK's house, and he brought us to Maharaj-ji. And this, I mean, here I had been in the heart of, American psychology.
Yes. Holy shit. You want to put a heart in there?
In the head.
In the head.
And here was just a sea of love and, a quality of being that was totally off the map of psychology, Western psychology. It was just so clear that we had missed something really important about the human abilities and human potential and about the heart. And
yeah, I felt that the way that Harvard days and Stanford days, I didn't know my spiritual heart. No. And I felt so gypped when I finally found out. And then between psychedelics and Maharaj-ji, I came up to snuff in the imaginary world,
the seemingly real world of psychology. The time we were in Vrindavan together, this was your second trip back to India. When KD and Ramesh and I went to Kinchi, that started at a small flood of Westerners coming, today's satsang of people who were with him. And then when you came back, at one point we were in Vrindavan with Maharaj-ji, and you gave him 3 tabs of acid.
Yeah.
But you had done that before.
Yeah. 4 tabs of acid. The 3 tabs of acid when the first time, and he said, I've got my headache. My head aches. Would you medicine? And I said, well, I don't have any aspirin, but I'll look in my bag. And And I looked in the bag, I saw acid, and I found acid. And so he said, I don't want aspirin. The translator, by the way, he said, I want the yogi medicine. And I assumed that much, something of the psychedelics. And I took the pills. The pills were 300 microgram was all the pills, and they would be for me because I was schooled about psychedelics, and yet I'm a big, tall person, so I'm big doses. So he said, "Do you have any yogi medicine?" I said, "Yeah, here." And there were three pills, and I was over there. He was there. I gave him one pill, and then he took it, and I was out there, but I was his mouth, or
you couldn't tell if he really took it?
Yeah. And then the three pills. But then I left and went to America. For 2 years, as he instructed me to do. And I sell my psychedelic brethren, I gave them a little message that I met a man who all these micrograms and nothing happened because he's just talking to everybody and
same as always.
Same as always. So the second time after the America's trip, he said, well, I came up at I was up to in the temple, and he called me and said, "Did you give me some pills, some medicine last time?" I said, "Yeah." And then he said, "Did I take it?" Because that's what did he take it? Yeah. Did I take it? I said, "I don't know." He said, "You got any more?" And my medicine bag and 3 pills. Three pills. And they hauled them out. and he was trying to get me. He's take a pill, and then he
He really took him.
he really took him. And I made I sat at his feet as a psychologist would to watch for behaviors. I'm a behaviorist.
And did he change?
Well, about halfway through, he pulled out his blanket over his head, and then he brings the blanket. And he said, he was
Like a madman.
like a madman, yeah. And I, of course, was he would kid like this, but then I know that maybe it is kidding, maybe it is reacting, but after a while he didn't react at all. And he just said, these medicines, these plants are well known in ancient times. Yeah. Yeah.
Then he said you can go into the room with Christ, something like that.
Yeah.
But just for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. You go into the room. With Christ, and then he'd say, but you can't stay, you can't stay. Because that was one of the things that psychedelics left me with, the staying power of the mindsets, and being with him as love, as wow, it just stays.
Well, he was in a place where there were, it wasn't temporary. That was who he was.
That's right.
That's what really got me, was that here was a being that had just endless love and presence, and that's who. It wasn't some temporary state. When I went back to Harvard, I gave a course in the old department you had left called Psychology of Consciousness, and it was about the methods of the East, and the things we had learned, meditation and the maps of the mind and meditative states, and that there was a possibility of stabilizing in this way of being that was completely open heart. It was Maharaj-ji, essentially. Yeah. That was what had been missed.
Yeah.
Of course, they couldn't wait for me to leave after teaching that course at Harvard. But it was enormously popular among the students. People were ready to hear that message, and
they were ready. They were ready. They were ready. Because I certainly was. I 1969, and before my trips, between my trips, everybody was just, they were, wow.
Oh yeah.
And I just get high on their energy, and I would be talking to them and transmitting Maharaj-ji's love. And they were eating it up. Eating it up.
I was eating it up. I was in those audiences, and it was kind of mind blowing, to use a term of the day.
Yeah.
But not everyone felt that way. I remember when I first met you, I invited you to come back to Harvard to give a lecture at Harvard, and you were full of Shakti and love and energy. You talked for about, I don't know, 5-6 hours. We had to bribe the janitor to keep the hall open. But you were wearing this white robe and white beard, and you had these beads, and you were sitting cross-legged on a table, and the stuff you were saying was equally different, so to speak.
Yeah.
The next day, I'm having lunch with one of my clinical professors, and I told him about it. And he leans over to me and says, very sincerely, tell me, is he psychotic?
Well, I am.
We should all be so psychotic, I thought. But that was there was that tension in those days. People were really ready to let go, and people who were holding on.
Yeah.
Did
you get into any flack by inviting me into the Harvard?
Probably.
Yeah.
But it was really worth it. Because that was before I went to India. But the message you brought was very heart-opening and very compelling. It got me to India and then coming back. And when I was in India with Maharaj-ji, I felt I really wanted a method. And he didn't really give methods. He was very anarchic.
Yeah.
But Bhagwan Das brought me and Krishna Das to Bodh Gaya, where we met Goenka, who was just starting to teach Westerners. And he had a method. And it's, theoretically it led to the same place. In fact, Maharaj used to say, all paths lead to the same place. And if anyone had any sincere practice, he would support that practice. He started sending people to Bodh Gaya, to those courses, after a while. A lot of satsang ended up doing the Vipassana routine. And then later I learned that the form of Buddhism that now my wife Tara and I are involved in, which is Tibetan Buddhism, really came from the Mahasiddha tradition in India between the 9th and 11th centuries. That was the people who came to Tibet they were Mahasiddhas.
Yeah.
And they were and back in those days, they didn't really distinguish Hindu, Buddhist. It was just who was your teacher.
They were all coming out of Hindu and then Buddhist.
Yeah. And when Dr. Larry Brilliant, went to see the Karmapa said, oh, Nimkroli Baba, he's a Mahasiddha. Very emphatically.
Yeah. So
Maharaj-ji was a living representative of the start of
tradition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's so many similarities in practice between, because you talk about going from the soul to the non-dual, to love. And it turns out that in the Tibetan practice, they talk about the same thing in a little different terms. They say, they say devotion, which is loving your guru, and compassion, which is loving everyone, are the doors to the non-dual. It's like the Mahasiddha tradition is still going over the mountains there.
Those words.
Compassion, devotion, and the non-dual. Or they call it the nature of mind. They say the nature of mind is empty, essentially. There's no entities. It's just all passing show. It's cognizant. It's aware. And then there's the manifestation of those two things, which is it can take. It's unconfined capacity, or compassion. Compassion can take any form that's needed in the moment. But that's what spontaneously arises out of that state.
Then my method now is loving compassion, loving awareness, loving awareness.
Loving awareness.
That's it. But loving is compassion.
But the interesting kind of nuance that I learned from that tradition is that loving is unconfined. This kind of loving is unconfined, and it can, in other words, it can do anything or fill any need that presents itself. So unlimited in that way.
Love.
Yeah. But a love with awareness.
Yeah. I was my name, Hanuman, the part of Ram Das, Hanuman. And Hanuman loved Ram, the one. And he loved Ram, and then he did all the things he did was for Ram, for loving Ram. And I guess I love Maharaj-ji. Like Hanuman loved Ram, because Maharaj-ji's work is, well, work, I don't know, Maharaj-ji's,
You could call it his play too.
his play
Yeah.
is taking people out of the incarnation and give them a taste of the spirit, and give them a taste of their soul. And so I figure that I do that for Maharaj-ji. And I figure that that are around me, that come around me, people, souls that come around me, I see them as they're coming for Maharaj-ji, and
Through you.
through me. I'm a middleman or his puppet.
Or a lightning rod. There's a lot of metaphors, but it works. I mean, it worked for me immediately.
Yeah. It gave me pause when I saw the coming back from Maharaj-ji. I was having such an effect, because I was teaching for years. I wasn't that, no, just, good psychology.
Exactly. A good lecture. But there was so much love and Shakti coming through, and still. But in those early days, it was very strong and very new. I mean, what was going on here? It was like the only words we have was there was a contact high.
Yeah.
It was a psychedelic metaphor.
That's right.
But, it was a darshan too. And I think it was a Maharaj-ji darshan. I think where you are, the Maharaj-ji is.
And I tell everybody that just call upon him and call upon him and feel the presence, presence of spirit, the presence of Maharaj-ji. And in this incarnation, this life, I surrender to Maharaj-ji. I surrender. My life is so sweet, but I surrender to Maharaj-ji because Maharaj-ji runs this incarnation, this Ramdas-ish. And I surrender, and then he comes in to make my decisions. My decisions. And that's in Bhakti Yoga. That is Guru Kripa, the grace of the Guru. Grace of the Guru.
The equivalent in Tibetan Buddhist tradition is what they call Guru Yoga, and it's exactly the same. It starts with the form and devotion to the form, but then goes into mingling with the mind of the Guru, which is what you're having, the being, the quality of being, and then it becomes a kind of wordless, beyond words, non-dual merging, which is with love. So I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, because in my bhakti way, the ego, which is I think who I am. I think, and then down to the spiritual heart, and that goes, I am loving awareness. 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 I am. And then you get in the heart, in this plane, you are loving awareness. Where you have awareness, I am aware of the tree. I'm aware of you, and I'm aware of people listening to us. And each time, as I bring their awareness to it, I love it so much. I love it so much. This is only Maharaj-ji because I never loved things. Oh boy. I mean, I love the walls and the rugs and all those things. I told you that story about I have my note taken. I told you the story about I was in an Indian restaurant, and I was speaking for a cause of some sort, and I decided I wanted to show the love in my heart, and so I said to the audience, "I love you, and then I love me, and I love my wheelchair, and I love the walls." And I was just, and I looked at the rug, and the rug was all spotted and stained. I said, "Even this rug, I love this rug." So when the speech was over, Mickey Lemley, who did Fierce Grace, the movie that I did, and he was in the audience, and he came up and he said, "I came, you many months ago, you said you loved me, and I felt so proud, so loved, but this rug."
Some schmutzy rug.
And so we worked with it because the rug and he were both the one. I mean, they're all, and so he went home to New York, and it came to my birthday, my 80th birthday, and the package, one of my gifts was this package, which had a rug in it, in a frame, and he said, and it was from Mickey, and it said, "If this is, you'll make it on the wall. You love them. You love the rug because it was spotted."
Is that the really ugly rug that's hanging?
And he said, "I hope you have a happy birthday. Love from your rug." And I keep it on the wall. He said, "If you keep it on the wall," he said, "substitute it for Maharaj-ji's picture because they're both the same." I didn't do that.
There's in the Tibetan tradition, again, there's a quality of that non-dual they call one taste, where there's no judgment about things. It's all equally valued.
Yeah.
Equally loved, you could say.
Yeah.
And your awareness is just merged with that quality of love. It's a loving awareness, as you say.
Loving awareness. You know, where the love and compassion are different or they're the same?
I would say that compassion is a kind of love. It's an application. Compassion is loving and a loving concern.
Concern.
Yeah. If there's need or suffering, you're ready to help.
Well, I'm loving Maharaj-ji. I don't have any concern of him.
No, but that's devotion.
Oh, that's devotion.
That's another kind of love.
That's the other kind. So devotion and compassion are.
Devotion is toward, someone like Maharaj-ji, or to God, or to Buddha, or to someone who has qualities that are, remarkable. And compassion is how you feel toward people who don't have those qualities. The ultimate compassion is actually wishing everyone could experience that loving awareness, instead of being taught. This is what part of what psychology has missed. By
Yes,
a big part. Because
I remember that my darshan with Maharaj-ji, my first darshan, he opened my spiritual heart just by mirroring or something, and I couldn't keep my breath. I was crying, and I was crying. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. Home meant spiritual identity, which all of us have a spiritual identity, even though most of us are humans with spiritual leanings.
And most of the time we're caught in our lives and stuff in our lives.
Yeah, caught of the incarnation.
But knowing, first of all, that there is an alternative, that there is such a thing as that quality of being, and then that there are paths that you can cultivate, I think is hugely important. That was when I came back to psychology and to the West after being with Maharaj-ji. That was the message I was trying to share with people. Still am, in a way.
Yeah, well, we've got a jewel in hand, and we want to show it.
That's right.
And we want to give other people wow,
well, and we've all got it, but we don't know we have it.
Yeah.
So many of us, so much of the time. And I think in a way the spiritual path is finding a method for reminding ourselves and cultivating that quality of being and stabilizing, finding that quality of being. That's who Maharaj-ji was, someone who was there all the time.
Yeah.
Is all the time.
Well, when I'm with Maharaj-ji, first when he was in the body in India, you go to India, touch the body, and that's one thing. The trappings, I think. And then that's his incarnation. And I don't want to be worshiping an incarnation. I want to worship the one. And that's inside. That's inside. And then he died. He, as he called it, dropped the body. He dropped the body. That's that's a beautiful statement. And I found he hung around with me, and it was like a friend going along, taking a trip of my life.
Mm.
He and a friend that compassion, love, peace.
Mm.
Oh boy, all those have wisdom and joy. A joy.
Yeah, those are the qualities.
That's and humor. God, he's humor.
Big jokester.
Yeah, the jokes. And then it was hung around, and he was outside of me. And then I went, he started to come into me, and we, there was a guy, the guy said to me, "You're the guy that talks to your dead guru." I said, "Yeah, that's the one. I'm the one." And he says, "Yeah, that's your imagination." I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," because I can talk to him in my imagination, where he can come in with my imagination. He wants, he goes anywhere. And we have like imaginary talks. And that makes my incarnation wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. In the Guru Yoga tradition, they call that mingling the mind with the Guru. Mingling your mind.
Yeah.
Because ultimately what it is that you're devoted to is the quality of being, or the mind of the Maharaj-ji or the Guru.
Yeah.
And you're making your mind align with that. That's the mingle.
Yeah.
So you experience those same qualities.
And I'm a soul. I'm looking on to the world universe. I'm seeing it. Seeing me, I just, there's a bird, and there's there's the trees, and wow, I see it all, but I never participated in love, or I'm seeing it because I'm an individual, and Maharaj-ji's being all love. And I want to be it, but I'm so afraid of the power that I got fascinated with in Maharaj-ji. I'm afraid of the power. The power of that love. And I'm not, my record of power is just yucky.
You mean how you used to? Haven't we all? 10 minutes.
So So that cusp between a separate individual and merging into the all. What do you call that?
Mingling.
Mingling?
Merging is good too.
Merging and mingling, yes. Oh boy. When people now want to know that they will have a method that will take them to that mingling.
Mm-hmm.
We both use methods of meditation, methods of love,
Devotion.
and devotion. Yeah. I love when bhakti yoga, involves singing the divine name, the name of what do you want? The name of, what do you say in Buddhism?
Guru Yoga?
When you say,
the name.
The name.
Oh, there's a zillion mantras. Just as there are in Hinduism. Om Mani Padme Hum.
And they put
Om Mani Padme Hum.
which means
It's Om, the jewel in the lotus. Perfection.
jewel in the lotus.
It's a jewel in the lotus.
Yeah.
It's an image of a perfected quality of being.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice. Jewel. We both meditate. Do you want to share a meditation?
Oh.
I'll do it. You don't want to do it.
Why don't you do it? You're
both go
we're
ahead.
used to
Go
it.
ahead.
No, I'm not.
You meditate much more than I do.
I'm not really a very good meditation teacher. I'm not such a meditation teacher.
No?
You go ahead.
Okay. Meditation. Your ego is here, which is who I think I am. And then your identification of you're there by those thoughts. You're identified, and then you go down to the heart, the spiritual heart. To get down there, you say, I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving I am loving awareness. I am loving. Halfway to the heart, you start the I am too much. Loving awareness, loving awareness, loving awareness, loving awareness, loving awareness, loving awareness. Everything is loved. Everything is a manifestation of love. Table, tree, yourself, the universe, the universes, they all made up of love. Made up. And once you bathe in that love, you dive into an ocean of love. Oh, it feels so wonderful. Love, love, or compassion, compassion. And we meet in that love. We meet inside, inside, inside. In Hinduism, it's called the Atman. It's God, Guru, and self together inside. I'll see you inside.